Last Breath is starring Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and Finn Cole, and tell the true story of a group of divers that go down in the bottom of the ocean. But once something goes wrong in this mission, one of the divers gets stuck underneath the ocean, and a rescue team must do what they can to try and save this guy before he runs out of breath. I was pretty interested of this story knowing that this actually happened in real life, so I was curious as to how this crew member was able to stay alive that long under the ocean while his team had to do what they can to make sure he comes up safe and sound. And it is really intense. You have to be legitimately careful with everything you do to try and save this one person when it comes to the technology you have, when it comes to keeping yourself safe in such intense pressure of the ocean, fighting against giant waves. It is just a really intense mission that you need to be careful about. And how the movie portrays the ocean as this uncaring force of nature that is relentless and will take you down just was really claustrophobic and really well done. I love the way the underwater sequences were helmed, how dark and murky the water is. Sometimes the cinematography is too dark and you can't see a lot of times because of that darkness, but at many points it adds a bit of eeriness to the scene and makes you feel clenched up in claustrophobia of it all, or like oceanphobia. I don't know what it's called. You feel unsafe whenever you're in the ocean. However, when it comes to the characters, I feel like the movie does a pretty poor job at setting these characters up. Now you understand their backstories and what they're doing and why they are the way they are before this mission, and the movie spends a good time with that. But our main focus during the first act of the film is of the guy that gets rescued, and then the second act, our main protagonists are the people on board the ship, and we don't get much characterization for the guy who is stuck underneath the ocean anymore, despite him supposedly being set up as a main character. I legitimately thought he was going to be one of the people that's going to rescue someone that's stuck underneath the water, but no, he is. And while that's kind of a neat idea, the movie just doesn't have that much for him to do after he gets stuck down under the ocean. You just see a few things that he does to try and keep himself safe, but that's pretty much it. In terms of characterization, he's pretty much done after the first act, and Woody Harrelson and Simu Liu had to take up the roles, and we explore more of their characters as well. And I feel like the movie could have done a bit better setting those characters up, those two, as the main protagonist in the first act of the film. That way the film could have less of a pacing issue, I would say, but also janking editing, transitioning to that first act to the second. Have less of that and it will feel a lot more cohesive, because in terms of characterization, the film had no idea who it wanted to focus on, and it just made for a pretty messy first and second act in terms of transitioning the two stories and have you care about the people involved in this story. Despite the movie being important and interesting to learn about, the characters just did not really match up to the story in general, and any moments that are tensed up, I did feel it, but I feel like it could have been more impactful if I were able to care about the characters. But unfortunately, I wasn't. The movie's not terrible. As I said, the second act for the most part is pretty good and interesting. The movie is well shot for the most part. The underwater photography is a little bit too murky at times, but still really dark and eerie, and I really like the ending for our characters and where the movie leaves off, but I don't see myself watching this one again in the future. Despite a few good things that it has going for it, I feel like it failed the characters and it just made the overall story have less of a punch that I felt like it should have. But all in all, I could see someone being able to watch this and be interested and have a good time. But for me, this is just a good one-time watch to learn some interesting history, but pretty much it. I don't see myself watching this movie again in the future. And for that, I'm going to give Last Breath a C+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.